On this Snap deal, you got. Here's the scam. The biggest culprit. Trump reportedly has raised a whopping $350 million from elite corporate entities. It's like homeboy is just reaching for you to get tight at him. Speaking of reporters, Friday night, as he was departing for an Asia trip, Mr. Trump said that more than $350 million has been raised so far. CBS News reviewed a list of 37 donors. Google, Amazon, crypto companies like Ripple and Coinbase. None of these entities have denied making these donations. NVIDIA, Susquehanna International Group, Extremity Care. The president hosted a dinner last week thanking donors, although not everyone invited to the dinner contributed. And that's just the tip of the iceberg, because if you take a look at the amount of money that the federal government raises for these projects, such as the Smithsonian Institute launching a $2.5 billion fundraising campaign, billions of dollars pouring into these projects, and money allocated already for SNAP, $3 billion, as you can clearly read in the Appropriations Act, and a contingency plan that the very USDA, the agency that has posted on their banner that the well has run dry. In addition, congressional intent is evident that SNAP's operations should continue since the program has been provided with multi-year contingency funds. It's right here. OMB's general counsel provided a letter to USDA on May 23, 2025, stating that there is a bona fide need to obligate benefits for October, the first month of the fiscal year, during or prior to the month of September, thereby guaranteeing that benefit funds are available for program operations, even in the event of a government shutdown at the beginning of a fiscal year. The very agency of the executive branch showing how they had a contingency program. They took this off the platform. A judge just stated that she will likely order the executive branch of government to continue SNAP benefits. Take a look at all of the money that they raised just for the Smithsonian right here. $265 million from charitable contributors, the endowment, Oprah Winfrey, investor Robert F. Smith. You think these people are not good or better than they were yesterday with the government, with every dollar that they contribute. This is for the Museum of African American History and Culture, and they got the low amount to that regard. Senators head home with negotiations stalled and food stamp benefits on the line. They going home to chill, to eat pumpkin pie in the Hamptons or wherever it is they hang out, Malibu. Look, Comcast, who owns MSNBC and NBC. I emphasize MSNBC because they're like the anti-Fox News. They always knocking Trump. They getting money off of this too because they donated part of that $350 million towards that ballroom. How is that benefiting the American people? The parks, at the very least, I guess people can go enjoy the parks. I believe you got to pay to get into them. Have I been into a national park? I'm not even sure. But if you look up Comcast real quick, Comcast has expressed interest in acquiring Warner Brothers Discovery, Bloomberg reported, but its merger would face federal scrutiny. The Department of Justice blocked a Comcast Time Warner cable merger in 2015 because it would have made the conglomerate an unavoidable gatekeeper for internet-based services. Comcast doesn't historically have the favor of the president. So, on blast, Trump is calling them out, saying that they're a disgrace to the integrity of broadcasting. And MSNBC numbers are hiked up right now. They have doubled their viewership since President Trump took office. So why would they want a dude that looks like he's in diapers, President Biden, to be in office when they're making more money with this dude right here? Coming out of their face talking about homeboy right here. That's what I'm talking about. They're all working for this. Comcast donated towards this ballroom. What kind of move is that? Coming from MSNBC, NBC. They're practically a megaphone for the Democratic Party. Look at this. Look at this right here. 22 million right here. Tech giants, Google, Palantir, Amazon, Microsoft, T-Mobile among the donors listed by the White House. YouTube, owned by Google, agreed to pay $22 million towards the Ballroom project as part of a legal settlement in a case Mr. Trump brought against the company for temporarily removing him from the platform after the 2021 Capitol riot. YouTube bullied to pay $22 million in donations as a settlement agreement. You have to understand something real quick. The government is the mob. All of these tech companies that have all the paper on the planet, they pay the government for protection and to make more money, because anything that they deploy at the federal government, they get it back tenfold. A biblical principle. They take their talents and they multiply it, just as every good servant should. Take a look. Software company Palantir has been awarded more than $800 million across several government contracts in fiscal year 2025, more than in any prior year, according to federal contract data. The Trump administration has also made Palantir a key player in managing and consolidating data about Americans between federal agencies. They've probably got offices in NSA, CIA, and the CIA and NSA agents probably have a cubicle or an office in Palantir offices. Look, to stay on top of what you're doing. The New York Times reported Amazon and Microsoft also have each received hundreds of millions in government contracts, federal data show. T-Mobile may stand to benefit from a Trump organization-linked mobile phone and cell service company, something House Democrats have expressed conflict of interest concerns over. The company isn't run by the Trump organization, but is licensing the president's name. The Trump Mobile Network says it is run by Liberty Mobile Wireless, a mobile virtual network operator that rents bandwidth from major carriers like T-Mobile. In a statement to CBS News, T-Mobile spokesperson said the company donated to the Trust for the National Mall, which is handling ballroom donations, and the list goes on and on. So where are hundreds of millions of dollars coming from these organizations to come out of their pockets? For Snap. And people are lining up and complaining about Snap, while these organizations that are selling something, which is why I tell you, financially, free yourself. Do you see this? Do you see this? Financially free yourself by any means necessary. Either explore working with me, visiting the link in the video description below, where you have to take a look at the problems, alleviate them, get into the game. Because even if you have a piece of this, you don't need to be relying on Snap to be able to provide for your families. How can you call yourself a man or a woman when you have to constantly be relying on this on a regular basis? I understand if there's an emergency and you got to get through something real quick, but figure it out and put yourself on a sustainable path towards being able to leave a legacy, building your generational wealth as abundantly as you want it. Click the link in the video description below if you want to explore that, because there are laws right here that the organization, that the agency, the administration is clearly violating. They paid the military, which is good. I'm all for that, because these kids are out there with their lives on the line. I was in the military too. I thank every single one and salute everyone who serves their country. They give me the ability to be able to stand here and run out my mouth and say everything that's wrong with the country and what's wrong with our current mindset that keeps us dependent on these programs and enslaved, institutionalized to not look beyond the comforts. We get paid off so we don't go crazy. That's the bottom line. Anti-insurgent. Look, Of course they're paying the military because, bang, look, UN's complaining that they blowing up boats, drug cartels, whatever the case may be. Here's the play. They have to keep these kids paid because as the United States starts to run up in Venezuela, that's an oil-producing country. You know the billions, potentially trillions of dollars that government officials, politicians, every single business operator that was involved or that is still involved in snatching money out of Iraq, Halliburton. Dick Cheney was their CEO and chairman until George Bush announced him as his vice presidential pick in the 2000 election. They had clocked about $54 billion, last report I read, escorting or placing bodyguards and executive protection for executives that were visiting Iraq, snatched all kinds of oil. We were still paying $4 for oil at the time, nonetheless, but if Trump or any other government official, senators, House of Representatives, on both sides of the aisle, mind you, I'm apolitical, they have involvement occupying oil-rich country like Venezuela, everybody's getting paid out the gate. So, of course, they got to keep that funded. They're not trying to have military people. Yo, I'm not bombing anything. You're not paying me. I mean, now people probably argue it's an illegal order because you're supposed to get paid. They need that to function because there's money coming back. And everything they do with this SNAP, oh, it's not coming through. States are set to lose SNAP funding. People are going to go hungry, yada, yada. It's to keep you in fear. Drive the fear deep in your heart where everything in your shell shakes and you pay attention and keep on doom scrolling on this right here. Understand? Paying attention to what's going on with the policy, because if you don't pay attention, they lose. Remember, attention is the hottest, the biggest organizations on the planet. I broke this down on the video that I dropped in this series, how everyone's lying about SNAP. It's the hottest commodity. What? Alphabet, Meta, on top of the planet. TikTok. They don't develop products and make most of their money off products. They may have a couple of products here and there, but they mostly sell your attention. You are being harvested for your doom scrolling. Understand? Because they know if they don't put the fear in your heart that you're going to lose this and also the effects of this, because companies stand to lose billions of dollars into the shopping season. They're going to let this slide because they're not going to let SNAP benefits stop during the shopping season. So Walmart will start to suffer from sales, and companies like BJ's and Costco, publicly traded companies that rely on sales from EBT, Target, they're not going to let that happen. People are going to get their paper. Nonetheless, they keep the fear in your heart so you pay attention. The biggest companies on the planet. I made millions of dollars off digital products. I inventoried that attention. I still do, which is why you're watching right here. Why I'm running my mouth right here. Because as I attract your attention, I sell that attention to Google, Alphabet. They give me a cut, and bang. That's why I tell you, put yourself on the other side of this screen. Build your brand to the point where if you have that fear in your heart due to perhaps civil unrest or whatever, in whatever peripheral way all of these issues may affect you, harness it and project it onto this planet to serve your neighbor and build the brand and generational wealth that you were meant to develop and leave as a legacy for your loved ones.